day. What's it say about how you've grown as a NASCAR Cup Series driver, and why shouldn't people be surprised about what you did today?
Well, I think, for one, this has been a really good track for me, right? I have 2 Xfinity wins, 2, really big moments in my life. This place has been really special, and it's been a good racetrack for me, especially in the Xfinity Series. Cup's been a challenge, but, the cars are different and adapting that. I mean, honestly, the biggest thing I feel right now is I'm just thankful to be in the situation that I'm in and driving fast race cars, right? I think our car, really from the start I felt good about. I kind of trusted my instinct a little bit in practice about how I thought the race would play out and what we needed. And, we fought hard all day. I mean, we had a, mistake on pit road. Just the guys were able to rebound. We were able to get back up front and, find the strategy went all wild, and we were on the front side of it and was able to get up front and battle Joey for a while and hold him off for the win. So, I don't know. I can't say, obviously with my experience on the short tracks, you think that that's where you're going to win. But, if anything I've learned in this sport is you never know what day can be your day. And you just have to put your head down and be there to capitalize. And Miles and this whole 21 team brought a great race car, and we found ourselves in position.
Go up to Jeff and then Dustin.
Yeah, I have a couple. First, for Miles, hey, Jeff Gluck from The Athletic. So 67 to go, you guys are staying out, but I was assuming there that you were just going to try to run it dry and then pit. You weren't trying to make it from there, or were you?
Well, at that point in the race, we still don't know what cautions are going to fall, right? So I felt like the best strategy for us at that time was to put ourselves in the best track position that we could, and that was by staying out. It all played out to where we didn't have to run it dry or save fuel, but we were getting close there to where we were going to have to start deciding on how we were going to save or how we were going to make it. But at that point in the race, I felt like the best thing to do was just put ourselves as far forward as we could.
I have an answer for that too. After we had to come down pit road and tighten up the wheel, I told him, don't be afraid to do something different here, because that's the only way we're going to get back up front, and that's what he did. I mean, dude's pretty good.
So, I mean, this race, though, historically, like the last fall's race, right? Like it ran with no caution at the end. So, I mean, you're taking a risk if there is no caution that you're going to have to save pretty hard. I mean, I know Logano made it, but I mean, you're willing to, lose that track position if you need to, correct?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I guess you could say we're in Vegas, so we gambled.
And then for John, I'll follow my sword a little bit.
I'm doing the Wood Brothers Twitter as I'm trying to.
Oh, hell. Oh, no.
Post.
I feel like as you guys
it's about you, Bob. A little bit. Sorry.
As you guys have been running better, it's sort of like easier to be like, well, it's the Wood Brothers Penske Alliance. Oh, that's a Penske car. Oh, remember that's in the Penske shop. Where like last year we didn't really like talk about that as much. Where does the truth lie here? Like, is this fair to lump you in so much with Penske? Do we need to give more credit to the organization separately? Like, how do you see all this now?
So unfiltered or filtered?
Unfiltered.
When we suck, it's our fault. But when we do good, we have nothing to do with it. It's 100% Penske or something. And I think that's the frustrating part, is because like these are our guys that are doing this, and we sat in a room and debated who our next driver would be for 2025, and it's Josh Berry, and those are decisions that we made collectively, but it's our race team and our decision. And so it gets a little frustrating to, and I'm probably hypersensitive because I'm not just an admin that like laughs it off and doesn't care because I got my paycheck for the week for doing social media. It hurts a little bit when I see that stuff. But then this happens and the results speak for themselves. And so I haven't really had to be super crappy on social lately and defend ourselves. He's just doing it. And so that's the neat part.
Go to Dustin.
Dustin Albino, JSK, I've also got to. Congrats, Josh. With this, you're the first Division I Weekly Series driver to win a Cup race. How meaningful is it to prove that it can be done from that level?
What was that exactly?
Like the Advanced Auto Part.
National champion, first
Yes,
national champion.
yes.
Okay. Yeah, no, it's really cool. I thought, that's obviously a really cool stat, and Yeah, my story here, it's been well documented, right? We've talked about it a long time and how I got here and the years that, the years of grinding it out on the short tracks, right, to get to this opportunity. And I've been very fortunate to have some amazing opportunities in my life. I say it every time, right? 5 years ago, I felt like I was going to be a career short track racer, right? Racing, I wanted to be Bubba Pollard. I wanted to be, the greats on the short tracks. And, Junior Motorsports gave me an opportunity to go drive an Xfinity car, and we won a race, and then we won another race, and then, I get an opportunity in a Cup car, and that goes well, and here I am now. So it's, those grassroots are important to NASCAR. There's a lot of amazing drivers at that level, and, I'm just thankful to, I wouldn't change anything about how I got here. I love, I look back now and I miss those days tremendously, right? Driving with my buddies to all these racetracks, working on my own car. Those people made me who I am and made me the way I think and way I approach racing, and I wouldn't change anything about it.
For John and Eddie, to have a win now 2 years in a row, like how important is that for you guys?
We run really well all year so far, early in the season, and things felt right. They just feel right. I think Josh fits us, Miles fits us, everything just fits. And I used to make fun of people years ago when they would talk about chemistry, football teams, baseball, all that, and then it kind of bled over into racing. And this goes back a few years, but when things click, they click. And I've been doing this since I was a kid. I was there when David Pearson and Leonard Wood, my uncle, hooked up, and that clicked instantly, like first, right off the bat. And this feels like everything is clicking. And I'm probably not answering your question, but it feels good to, won the 100th one last year and with Harrison, and that was good for him. It's good for us to get that one and get it, actually to get it. And now to get the next one is just a really big deal to us, really special.
And this one was legit. Like, how sometimes they'll put an asterisk beside a speedway race and say, well, it's speedway racing. He dominated those last 20 laps. And you look at our track position, our qualifying, the whole package from Daytona to now. If you throw out COTA, and I know that you're not supposed to throw him out, but if you do, his qualifying average is like 5th. And he's either led or won in almost every race since. And it's not supposed to be this easy. And I think that's just a testament to his level of focus and Miles's big brain.
We'll go up here to Bob.
Bob Pockris, Fox Sports. So, Eddie, your team hadn't won in 7 years before winning these twice in the last 17 races. Did you ever think it would ever start clicking again?
I don't know. Through the years, we've been through so many ups and downs, and this sport's just like the other sport. There's more downs than there is ups. That's when you do get in a position to be fortunate enough to have the ups. You really appreciate it, and you just kind of, in racing, it's always next week. You got another week. You got another opportunity to turn things around if you're not doing well. And that's how I think we've survived this long, is just you never give up, you never quit, and you just keep going to the next race. And all of a sudden things will start building, and you stand in the corner long enough, it'll be your turn, eventually. And that's kind of the way we are.
And Josh, obviously you had success in Xfinity, but after kind of the season of Stewart Haas and then coming here, did you have any doubt on whether you'd ever win a Cup race?
That's a hard question to answer because, I think back, through, the last few years, right? I feel like when I left the 9 car, I was the most confident that I'd ever been as a driver. I thought Alan did a tremendous job just building my confidence throughout that whole process and everybody. But since then, it's been tough, right? My Xfinity Series season in 23 was tough. And then, last year just battling through the emotions of every part of that, it was difficult to manage, right? But, through those days, you learn so much about yourself, and, so many lessons that I learned last year from them guys have stuck. And, now I find myself here in this new opportunity. And, from the minute that I sat with, everyone at this table and thought about this opportunity, it just felt right. Like, it just felt like the right fit for me. But, our performance the start of the season has 100% exceeded my expectations. And I think that it just goes back to just trusting your instincts as a driver, that, if you're in a good situation and surrounded by good people and have fast race cars, then you can do amazing things. And I think that's where I'm at with it, really. Like, Miles has done a tremendous job believing in me. And, I know there's times that probably even in the short couple weeks that he's probably thinks, what is this guy talking about or whatever. But, he's had my back, and we've built this, quickly together. And, I just feel like it's, ultimately it comes down, if you're in a good situation, surrounded by good people, leave it up to those guys to do their jobs and trust what you know as a driver, and here we are.
Go to Jenna up front.
Hi, for John and Eddie, Jennifer, AP. John, you were talking about what you guys picked the driver. You sat down collectively and chose the driver. Why Josh?
That's who we wanted.
Yeah, I mean,
it was simple.
Evidently, I've mistaken his results. I thought that I got it backwards, right? Basically, that's what we decided. I sat and told Lee Spencer how great he did in his debut here, and Josh's like, well, I ran 29th all day.
I flew home I want to say this because I told him that. I flew home that night thinking that my Cup career was over because of how I ran that day. And it was a last second, thrown in the car. I had no preparation. And, even thinking back to that day, right, they believed in me and they gave me another week, right? And then we went and finished in the top 10. So just, it's amazing the things that have to happen to get to this point.
He drove in two or three different style racetracks, having never driven in a next-gen car, and he ran competitively and finished well in two of the three. And so I was sold from that point. And I didn't know Josh from anybody. Like, I knew who he was, but I hadn't been following him. And I didn't want him to do well. Like, I was like, well, this isn't supposed to be that easy. You're not supposed to outrun us when you just hop in one of these things. So it stuck in my mind that week. This dude's probably pretty good. But it never dawned on me that there would be an opportunity. He just seemed like a Chevrolet driver through and through forever. And then as the Stewart-Haas thing began to evolve and unfold, we're thinking, all right, this might work out. And we had to check a couple of boxes before. Once those were done, then we could say, okay, now let's go get Josh. And it worked.
And Eddie, where do you think realistically the race team stands right now, competition-wise?
You're talking about here, NASCAR Cup.
Like the big picture in Cup.
Cup, yeah. Well, I can tell you this: it's the toughest I've ever seen it. I mean, like I said, I'm old and I've been around a long time, and I've seen a lot of races. And I think I was talking to Rudy this morning, sitting on pit wall before it started. And I've never met Rudy, and I introduced myself, and we talked, and I said, "Man, this is hard." And he said, "You talk about how hard it was." And I said, this is the hardest, since I've been racing, I think it's the hardest right now, most competitive. And you hear that word a lot, most competitive, and everybody's competitive, and they are. And, congrats to this guy on, leading his team. It's just amazing what they do. I mean, it's, on my best day, I couldn't touch it. I mean, it's just so complicated now, and you've got to be so on top of it. And I mean, I guess the difference when I was younger, we worked on the race cars, and then, we changed tires, and everybody did everything. And now you can't do that. It's just, it just amazes me, the technology. Just sit on a come sit with us on the pit box next week and just watch. It's just, it'll blow your mind.
Are you weekly contenders?
I hope so.
I have been so far. I mean, except for Coda. Throwing that one out. But other than that, I mean, yeah, like it's been unbelievable. And usually you start up front, you stay there, or you have a better chance of staying there. And to be qualifying this well, this early, and these two being as new to each other as they are, it's really unfathomable.
We'll go to Chris and then Jonathan.
Enough. 40s, mid 40s. 42. Yeah. Well, that's kind of my expectation, honestly, is that you coming into this. Let me step back a minute. Where we've run the start of the season is exceeded my expectations for sure. But my goal for this team and with Josh and the where we want to go and what we want to accomplish this season is it. I mean, we want to win a race. We want to make the playoffs. We want to advance in the playoffs. And we're marching down the path to do that. And I strongly believe we can be a contender week in and week out. There's weaknesses in our program that we have to work on. And I'm honestly surprised with how we ran this weekend. It wasn't one of the races that I had pegged as, we're going to be in contention to win this thing. There are races in the beginning of the season that I think we can, but this was not one of them. So I'm very surprised, and it does help, build the confidence in the team and the organization and all the guys. The confidence, as we all know, is super important for everyone in this sport, in this industry. And this is a pretty good step in the right direction for all the people on our team, from the pit crew to the mechanics to the guys in the shop to the engineers, everybody. I mean, it helps everything, so it's a good step.
Chris
Knight@catchfence.com. Josh, can you describe or talk about the decision not to do burnout after the race for your first career win?
So, yeah, I don't know. It's just, I think back to, there's a couple reasons. I think, for one, over the course of the off season, I found myself watching the 2014 Daytona 500 when Dale won, and he went down to one and kind of swung around and took his stuff off and waved at the fans. And, I think back of nights at, Saturday night short track racing that we would, do that type of celebration, right? Because you couldn't, blow the quarter panels up, you couldn't blow the motor, you couldn't tear the car all to hell after the race, and that's just what I wanted to do, right? Like I don't know, it's just kind of who I am. I did a little bit of one at the end there, just kind of spun around a couple of times, but that's just who I am as a person, right? Like I've spent my whole life working on my own race cars and building race cars, and got my ass chewed a couple of times for doing burnouts when I shouldn't and tore stuff up, and I just wanted to soak in the moment. I mean, I think that's the biggest thing. Really, I could have pulled down there and done a big burnout and got out, but I wanted to enjoy it, right? I didn't care how long it took. Like I wanted to go down there and turn around backwards and just have a moment to reflect on that, because it's such a huge accomplishment to win in the Cup Series, and I feel like so far we've done a good job of that.
And for John or Eddie, is the sky the limit for the 21 team in 2025?
I didn't understand you.
Is the sky the limit? Meaning, is any multiple wins, championship, getting to the championship 4 even possible for the 21 team in 2025?
It's like I said, it's like a day-by-day thing. You just, everybody works as hard as they can work every day, and, I used to hear that when it's your day, you can't mess it up. And, we had a problem on pit road today, and he came from the back to the front. And that's just the way, it unfolds. You just, like I said, these guys are going to work as hard as they can, and Josh is going to drive as hard as he can, and you see where it lays, at the end of the season.
Jonathan?
Tom Zaleski, Iron County Today. Guys, there was mainly for Josh or Miles, there was a record number of lead changes today, but you didn't lead the bulk of your laps until the tail end. How are you feeling as the race is unfolding and you're seeing all the new leaders back and forth? Did you have a sense that you could? When did you have a sense that you could pounce and have a shot at winning the thing?
Well, I feel like, really just going back to the start, I felt like we had a good car. Obviously, we never got to the lead, but, really the whole time I just felt, pretty confident about the car we had. And, sometimes, I mean, these races are so long, and it's so easy to get your head out of the game when it comes down to it. I mean, like I said, I've raced cars, I've built cars, I mean, when your car's good, the car's good, and that's how I felt, right? Like I could have, gave Miles, said a bunch of, gave a bunch of comments about the car, but just to give them. But I mean, I felt like the car was good, and I felt like we just had to go execute, and that's where we're at, right? We're not, really so far this year. That's the best part about it is I feel like we're just not overthinking anything, right? We're just going out, trying to have the car drive good, qualify well, maintain track position, obviously, be mistake free on pit road, which we haven't done in the last couple weeks, unfortunately. But what we did, after that, just like I mentioned earlier, right? We lost our track position. We're back in the 20s. I told Miles, I mean, look, we got to do something different to get back up there, and we were able to do that. We caught the caution. And found ourselves up front, and sometimes that's what you just have to do in these races, to just put yourself up front. And they're long, and a lot of things can happen, and I guess the fastest car doesn't always win, but you have to be in the right spot to capitalize when it's your moment.
Need to get Miles to one more interview stop and inspection. Does anyone have anything for Miles? Or we'll go Jonathan and then Jerry, and then we'll cut Miles loose.
Miles, right back here. Jonathan Field, the racing experts. I know you won a lot of races as, race engineer, but how does it feel to win one as a crew chief?
I honestly don't really know how to answer that. It feels great right now. It's pretty cool. It's like you said, I've been a part of winning several races as race engineer or as a performance group manager in championships, been part of that too. And it's, it feels great. I don't really know any other words to put to it, but I'm really proud of this team. I'm really proud of the guys that put all the effort in at the shop, from everyone that works on the cars, back of the shop, to the road crew guys, the pit crew guys. We've got a pretty young team in the guys that go over the wall. And like Josh said, the last couple of weeks we haven't been perfect. We've had some mistakes, and they've really recovered from those really well. And I'm proud of that, so I have a lot of confidence in the team going forward, and it feels great to get a win this early in the season for our group, but I've been confident that we have the ability to do that. I'm certainly surprised that we were able to do it here and able to do it this early in the season, but yeah, it feels really good.
And Josh, kind of take us through that battle and then the final laps when you're out in front, laps are ticking down.
Yeah, I thought, really once we were able to get toward the front, I tried to just stay patient on that longer run and just keep the tires underneath me as long as we could. And obviously we had a great battle with Joey that, ended up getting in front of us. But yeah, when we, came out to, on the front row, right, like you just know it's going to be a fight. And, Daniel did everything he could to try to hold us off, and it's just a battle. I mean, there's just no way around it, right? Like whoever ended up in front was going to win the race, and thankfully we were beating and banging a little bit, and we were able to get the lead and hold him off. So, once we were able to get out front and stretch a little gap, right? Like I just tried to not overdo it and just be smart, hit my marks, manage the gap behind me, and hope it stayed green.
And just one quick question for the Woods there. I see you guys kind of look at your phones going off, whatnot. Who all has reached out?
Dogs.
Oh, okay. All right. Very nice. No worries. Just curious, like, who's all reached out so far to congratulate y'all?
I don't know. I have so many texts and stuff, I can't even really fathom it. I FaceTimed Dale Jr. in Victory Lane just because he's done a lot for me. He was jacked up. But yeah,
that was my first call too.
I got a long night of going through.
You answer that one when he calls. Dad's is Jim Farley, and mine was Dale Jr. So.
Yeah, Jim Farley called me. I hadn't even got to Victory Lane, and then Edsel Ford called. So, you take those calls.
Jerry.
Jerry Jordan, KickingTheTires.net. Miles, it's one thing to win a race and be qualified for the playoffs late at the last minute, but now, I mean, this is early. Does this give you guys some chances to plan and also, does it give you opportunities to take chances going forward?
Yeah, it certainly does open up the box as far as what you can do with the rest of the season, as far as trying to develop your setups, trying to develop your team. But we're still really young as far as the whole team goes and our relationship as well. So there's a lot of development that we still have to do naturally, win or without a win. So it kind of relieves some of the stress of trying to make sure you get that win so you lock yourselves in the playoffs. But it's definitely, I think we'll try and take advantage of it as best we can to either, whether it's try different setups or risks in strategy calls in the races. It definitely bleeds through the season. But obviously most importantly is still generating points, generating playoff points so that we can progress through the playoffs, not just making the playoffs. That's not the only goal, right? The goal is progress through the playoffs, not just make them.
Miles, congratulations. We'll let you go. You have one more interview and then some inspection to attend to. So thank you. Congratulations.
All right. Thank you, guys.
We'll continue on with our remaining winners, and we'll go over here to the middle.
Mitchell Brewer, Black Hat Sports. Josh, there's been a lot of legendary drivers that have won for the Wood Brothers. What's it mean to add your name to that list?
Yeah, no, it's amazing. These, the Wood Brothers have been around for 75 years, and it's just tremendous, the legacy they have in this sport. And it really is an honor just to get to drive the car, but let alone win a race and run like we have. It's just been, it's like I said, it's just far exceeded my expectations. So it's, this is a, special day for all of us, right? To, win at an intermediate track like we did is really cool, and just thankful for the opportunity more than anything, right? To be behind the wheel in the Cup Series is an honor and a privilege, but to, be driving fast race cars like this and have this opportunity is really special.
Come up here to the front to Lee.
Lee Spencer, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio and CatchFence.com. Josh, I remember us sitting in New Hampshire last fall, and you kind of knew, and I kind of knew, but it wasn't official yet. What was going your mind then, just knowing that your future was secure and it would be with an iconic team like the Wood Brothers, and that you could finally get some stability in your career?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, right? Obviously, it's like I said earlier, from the first time that, I sat with these guys, like it felt right. And thankfully we got that taken care of pretty early in the season, but, there still is a pressure as a driver from then on, right? Because, I know that they're watching every lap that I make, knowing that, I'm going to be a part of their future, and you want to go out and have good races and prove yourself and get everybody excited and wanting to be a part of this. So, it's still, I don't know, as a race car driver, the pressure of trying to perform ever goes away, really, right? Like, obviously it was good to have, have a ride lined up amidst all the, the everything that was going on with SHR shutting down. But, really for me, like, I wanted more than anything to finish that time in the 4-car as strongly as I could, just because, those guys, I owed it to them. I owed it to the 4 team. I owed it to everybody at SHR. But obviously, these guys are sitting there watching me every week in and week out, and I wanted them, I wanted to start this year with them excited and ready to go. And, I don't know if last year I did that as much as I wanted to, but, that was most certainly my intention.
Go up here to the front.
Josh, this one's for you. Whenever you're done, text back. Whenever, no rush. So right here over on your right. So you touched on that story after your first Cup Series start, kind of on the plane ride back. You thought your NASCAR Cup Series career was over right then and there. Now, in this moment right now, reflecting back to that moment, what would you tell that Josh Berry on the plane if you were with him?
I mean, I don't know that I would tell myself too much different, right? Like, I mean, that weekend was such a whirlwind, an opportunity that I never saw coming, right? Like, it was a last-second deal, and unfortunately the race didn't play out, any good at all. And I just, in that moment, you just think, man, that was my opportunity, and I wish I'd have done better. And thankfully they just gave me another week, right? Like, that was the extent of it, right? Like, I don't know that, I remember the internet and reading it, and everybody put this guy in, this guy doesn't deserve the opportunity. And for whatever reason, Mr. H and everybody on the 9 team just decided to stick it out. And that's, something that I'm very thankful for. I mean, I think thinking back on, right, I think if they didn't do that, I was in the midst of, talking to the 4 team, and if they felt like that I wasn't the right move, I don't know what that would have done for my career as a whole, right? Like, so it's just for guys like me that, just are fighting for every opportunity, you just need to be in the right place at the right time, and thankfully I was, and everything worked out like it did.
Okay, good.
Herrera, UNLV Rebel Report. Josh, I also wanted to touch on that first start. Like you mentioned there, you thought your Cup Series career was over at one point. So how does a driver of your caliber pick up from such a mental roadblock and, more importantly, push through to find yourself in a position like this where you get your first Cup win and now have a promising season ahead? And kind of how's the journey like?
Well, I mean, I think for me, I remember the next day we were in the simulator running like 500 laps at Phoenix. And spent some time with that team to try to get a little bit more acclimated. And I remember I was running lap after lap in the simulator, not even know if I was going to race the next week, right? But we were just preparing like it was going to happen. And I think what allows me to focus on that is years of short track racing and working on my car and building. You're not going to win every race. The tough days, you just wake up whether you win or lose, and you go to work on Monday and try to be better for the next one, right? And that's where my head was at. I had no other choice, right? Like I could have, like there's no use in sitting and pouting over it, right? Like you just get to work, and I was there, first thing Monday to try to figure out the next gen car and what I need to do better and how to learn and how to adapt to the team, and thankfully it all worked out in the end.
Okay, we'll take 3 more. We'll go Ray, Cole, and then end with Michael.
Yeah, thank you, Roy Akers, Skyview Sports. On the both the business and the strategy side, when you're always looking as a businessman running a team, are people more apt to take your phone calls or call you after a win like this? That's probably for anybody.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'll be pretty busy, I think, on my phone the next few days trying to get back with everyone. But yeah, I don't know. It's the first time, so I'm just soaking it in.
Yeah, and then on the, I'm sorry, I don't know if I'm interrupting, but on the strategy side, when you're playing with house money, you made the playoffs. You change your strategy between now and September, or the things you might try that you wouldn't have if you were still looking for a win a little later on in the summer like last year?
No, I don't think so. I feel like we still just kind of keep doing what we've been doing because it's been working, right? Just go to the racetrack every week and try to prepare the best we can and put the best race car on the racetrack that we can, and just go out and try to continue to build momentum and run well. And really that's where my head's at, I think, in this, right? Like I think there's a lot of good racetracks for me coming up. Obviously a lot of good short tracks, and I feel like there should be good opportunities for us. I don't think there's any reason to overthink the playoff eligibility, and just kind of just go and keep racing and doing the best we can. And it's like I said earlier, win or lose, you go to work on Monday for the next race, and I think that's where our head's at.
Cole.
Cole Cusimano with the Arizona Republic and Speed Freaks. For Josh, you get your first NASCAR Cup Series win in just your 53rd start at the top level. Obviously, it's the start of your second full-time season. Is that surprising to you just to get that win so early on in your Cup career?
I mean, yeah, I think, you see a lot of statistics about guys in the Cup Series, and kind of the 100 race mark being the mark of when, the performance kind of turns, I guess, for them once they build the experience. But, I don't know. At the same time, I don't consider myself the same as a lot of younger guys, right? I mean, I'm older. I'm more experienced in racing as a whole. Let alone, not Cup racing or Xfinity racing. I mean, I'm still relatively inexperienced in that side of things. But as a racer and a person, I mean, I'm 34 years old and have been racing for years and years and years. So I mean, I've just kind of, even though it's at a different level, I've seen a lot of different things, and I feel like that proved in the Xfinity Series that I was maybe a little bit more prepared than really I thought I was, and now to be here today, it's really cool.
We'll end it with Michael.
Michael Massey, front stretch. The Wood brothers are known for so many first-time winners. 9 guys have won their first race with you. A lot of those guys, though, like Dale Jarrett, Ryan Blaney, they went on to get their second win and many others elsewhere. So you guys are early in this deal now. So how important is that you guys have this deal to build together and actually have a driver you can invest into and have a career with him?
We don't know because it's never happened. Lately, like the wins that we get have been at the tail end, the middle to the tail end of the season with Blaney, with Harrison. Harrison was 2 or 3 races before the cutoff. And so now at the front end, it's going to be a completely different feeling. You're racing now for stage points instead of a win. Knowing that we're going to make the All-Star, haven't done that, I don't think, in a long, long time.
It's been a long time.
Yeah.
I don't remember, but just making. I'd forgotten about the All-Star race. Somebody mentioned it a while ago that you automatically in that and not in the other race. That's big for us.
But to have it on the front end is
yeah.
really, really, it's relieving. It's just a huge burden. Everybody's so uptight. Not everyone, but the guys that are from 15th to 25th, and I consider us in that range. We typically are. It's so nerve-wracking, particularly when you get midways through regular season. You're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points, and it makes for some long races. And to know that we're there now and don't have to worry about it, it's a huge, huge burden to overcome.
You mentioned first-time winners in our car. That's one thing I'm probably most proud of. We got a wall in our museum with the winners, and I went a 3 weeks ago. I already got a picture of Josh in motocraft uniform, ready to go. Just hoping we'd get that first win. You never know when you're going to get one or if you're going to get one, but I just felt so good about the combination with Miles and Josh. Like I said a while ago, they just clicked, and you could just see it from the get-go, and it just felt like he was going to get, he's going to run up front. You got to get in the right spot to win a race. These races are so hard to win, and the way he won it today is really special.
Well, Eddie, John, Josh, congratulations on this great win, and thanks for all the time. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you guys. Thank you for all you guys do.